Hello adventurers and welcome to Dice Sagas. I'm Christian. This battle report is going to be Corvus Cabal versus Ogor Mawtribes. For those who are new to Dice Sagas and our channel, we do matched play games but told in a narrative fashion. So if it's something that you obviously enjoy, please consider subscribing, also dropping a like on the video and commenting as well with feedback. We also enable people to buy us coffee too. This can be found in the description down below. So this is a site where you can give donations to the channel. So if it's something that you want to do, i.e. buy us a coffee, please do so. That'd be great. It'd be great help to the channel as well. If not, no worries at all. We're just so thankful that you're actually here watching this and hope you enjoy it.
Balrak Bloodbrawler trudges through the prohibiting jungle brush, his thick body getting tangled amongst the thorny undergrowth. Daylight was coming to a close, and with that, visibility was decreasing with each step he took. Nevertheless, this was the only time they'd be able to seek what he was after. Ever since the shattering, the night skies have been marked by various portents and omens. Constellations forming or fading, bright stars snuffing out, or even the streaks of comets making landfall. For several nights, the butchers have foretold of one of these stars to land near the tribe, calling it the Tooth of the Sky, a tooth of Gorkamorka, or the Gulping God. Balrak had tasked a party of his closest and most loyal followers to accompany him so that he may secure such a prestigious and important artifact. His great glaive thrust forwards in front of him, cutting away at the massive vines barring his path. He was not accustomed to wading through such thick jungles, much more accustomed to wide open plains and deserts that were the norm in the beastland wastes. The jungles are a rare sight here, but perhaps the close proximity to the Garan lush had perverted the landscape. Animals dart away at the sound of his approach, of which he made no effort in masking. He was a confident warrior, with the bravery to match his impressive belly. He had no equal in combat as far as he was concerned, and thus he had no reason to fear anything in this forest.
You found it yet?
A sudden shout bellows beside Balrak, startling him so much that he nearly swung his thunder mace in response. He wasn't sure if his companions were simply asking the question, or trying to communicate to the others in the jungle. Mebarok had a hoarse voice that boomed with each syllable. He was considerably deaf due to an encounter with a Skaven screaming bell. He had thought to smash it down with his great club, only to find the sound resonating and rattling his skull for months afterwards. Balrak nudges his companion and points upwards with the tip of his glaive. Through the dangling vines and the jungle canopy above them, a bright star was coming ever closer towards them.
Patience, Mebarok,
he told his deaf ally in a hush.
Amit's blessing will be ours soon.
The other ogre looks up at the falling star and gives a puzzled look before opening his thunderous maw once more.
Did you hear that?
His voice echoed through the jungle, sending the more timid creatures scattering before him. Balrak only shakes his head as he moves forwards, one eye to the sky trying to judge the trajectory of the falling heavenly body. His massive footsteps muffling the sound of light feet and rustling feathers. The Lineadae clan had also watched the portents intently. The shattering of the diamond apex was the first point of the great prophecy in their leader's destiny. The many portents that are now taking form in the Interstice illuminates the path in which they must take to reach this destiny. Their leader would rise on darkened wings, to ascend into her true form and usher in a new era. The Great Gatherer has preordained that they will need to make 9 sacrifices or 9 offerings, one of which was already secured in the Rusted Coast. Tatsumaki watches the bulky creatures squeeze their way through the jungle path. She had not encountered these things before, but was wary of their immense sizes. Each one was easily thrice the weight of her Tory followers, and though her clan believed in swift agility, overcoming brute strength, she couldn't help but think that one misstep would mean disaster for her people. She sees the others in her mind's eye, thanks to the visions granted by her familiar high in the sky. They made a wide sweep across the jungle, hoping to get to the descending star as it makes landfall. A sustained engagement with these enemies would be foolish, and so very careful steps should be taken to avoid unnecessary conflict.
Ikimasu,
Hiku announces. The Spire Stalker moves gracefully between the set of trees and stops at a tree some distance away from the Ogre Tyrant, hoping to keep a watchful eye on their quarry before the comet lands. Mebarok continued to shout out.
No car, Joe Tack, find anything to eat.
Walrak scratches his head and wonders about his choice of companions on this mission. But out of the corner of his eyes, he spots something, a faint glint of steel from a blade, reflecting the light of the impending comet. His warrior instincts, and possibly hunger, drives him forwards, lunging towards the hidden threat with impossible speeds. His thundermace roared as it snapped through dozens of branches to bear against his foe. Hiku jumps and braces her blade to block the attack, but the force of it sends her spiraling through the sea of trees. The mace ends up smashing against the trunk of the tree, giving a thunderous blow that nearly uproots it. Hundreds of splinters spray through the air as the shockwave of the attack is felt. A dozen birds take to wing, cawing in terrified disarray and stirring up more movements within the dense jungle. This brute was far too dangerous to deal with head-on, thought Tatsumaki, as she and Omine dash in the opposite direction, watching as the comet finally crashes to the ground, bowing or breaking trees in its descent and finally shaking the earth with a reverberant tremor. Just as the birds were roused from their nests, her party also take to wing, making bounding leaps towards their prize. Tatsumaki is the first to approach the fallen comet, still glowing an eerie yellow so common with amberstone or bones of amber. It was shaped like a large vertebra, about the size of a human's skull. It radiated with a wild aura, as if staring at it too long would drive you to madness. She reaches for it, but the searing heat of it keeps her hand away. It would be some time before it could be handled, but before she could ponder this further, an ogre thrusts his belligerent belly into her, knocking her backwards and steadying herself with her blade. Nukor stood a good 2 feet taller than her, and his arms were thicker than her torso. With his trunk-like club, he swings a devastating blow towards her, only able to avoid being crushed due to her uncanny dexterity and a slight redirection of her blade. Still, the force of the attack left her reeling. Omine carefully approached the melee, looking to attack from the flank, but before she could aid her leader, a booming voice diverted her attention.
It's over here!
Mebarok shouts as he runs belly first at the crouching cabalist. With wild and furious swings of his great club, he crushes through branch and bark, smashing everything in his way. In his mighty fervor, he loses sight of his quarry, believing to have smashed her to pieces of crumbling wood.
I've got a gun!
He bellows triumphantly. Tatsumaki at this point looked to be surrounded by her enemies, with the fated comet so close at hand. She gives a sharp whistle into the evening air as her band rapidly approaches to her location. Balrog rushes forwards towards one of these advancing Tory, catching the poor man off guard and sending him sprawling to the ground. Komyo, the Spire Stalker, and another Tory wheel around sharply to engage the tyrant. His glaive glinted with fresh blood as he laughed at the ease of defeating these little humans.
Come and give me a proper fight.
He shouts proudly, thumping his belly plate with the butt end of his thunder mace. Komio shouts as he brings his own blades into action. His talons rake through the flesh of the tyrant, drawing a stream of blood, yet the ogre tyrant showed no sign of pain, nor even slowing. Instead, he simply swings his mace in a crude arc to send a crushing blow against the other Tory, sending the broken bodies careening through the thick jungle. The now lone Spire Stalker issues his challenge, knowing fully well that he is outmatched in strength. Perhaps if he could just buy some more time for his band, that would be enough. Elsewhere, another pair of Tory fighters and Hiku, the Shrike Talon, rush towards their leader's call, but one is caught by the charge of Drotak. With mercilessly vicious blades, he forces the warrior to make a swift retreat into the trees. He looks towards the glowing light of where the comet had landed, but pants heavily as the exertion was getting the best of him. He sees the glint of steel up ahead and moves forwards, drawn in by the scent of battle. So distracted he is that he doesn't notice the flurry of feathers that flies above him amongst the treetops, gliding forth at extreme speeds. Hiku lands next to Tatsumaki, spreading his wings out in an intimidating manner as taloned fingers click with anticipation. Nukor is spooked by the sudden approach and launches himself to attack both of them. With a quick flick of his wrists and a spin on his stilts, Hiku left gaping wounds on Nukor's arms and body, sending a spray of blood through the air. He cries out both in fury and pain as he tries to keep up with the Shrike Talon's wild movements. Balrak roars as he continues to make deadly swipes at Komio, the large glaive thrusting with deadly intent. The Spire Stalker watches the blade carefully, but is also wary of the oversized maul in his opponent's other hand. The speed of the glaive keeps the lithe warrior on the back foot, unable to find an opening to make an attack, and steadily losing ground.
Is that all you can do?
Balrak laughs mockingly.
Too weak to even fight back.
He pulls back and readies a large arcing swing leveled at Komio's chest. Komio shouts as he drops nearly prone to dodge the mighty swing. The glaive glides over his head and catches his shoulder pauldron, dislocating his shoulder from the impact. But from this angle, he plunges his talons between the gaps in the leg armor of the ogre tyrant. While perhaps not doing much damage, he left the claws deep within to ensure the brute wouldn't be able to give chase. A flurry of curses stream out of Balrak's maw as Komio rolls away and then sprints towards the rest of his group, leaving the pinned tyrant far behind. In the confusion of the melee, Komio makes swift strides towards the glowing piece of realmstone and heaves it up with his one functioning arm. A quick bird call escapes his lips as he signals the rest of his band to begin the retreat. He shouts to them all. Plumes of dark smoke sprout out from bombs thrown by the Lineae clan, covering the jungle in a thick, choking smog. The ogres begin to run, seeking refuge from the suffocating smoke, while the Lineae clan rapidly climb to treetops to escape away, a glowing piece of amber bone tightly held and another step forward towards realizing the prophecy of the Great Gatherer.